At the Hanuman temple near my old office, there's a man who comes every Tuesday in a 400 rupee kurta and worn sandals. He owns three flats, a shop, and a portfolio he hasn't touched in 15 years. The same week I met him, a friend showed up at dinner with the newest iPhone on 24 EMIs while owing 2.3 lakh across 4 credit cards. In India, the people who look rich and the people who are rich are more often than you'd think two completely different groups. Today, the 7 things the quietly wealthy stop buying and the status game that keeps everyone else broke. First, understand what you're up against. Looking rich is one of India's biggest industries. The car you drive to a wedding, the phone on the table in a meeting, the brand on your sleeve at a college reunion. Each one is a small advertisement that says, I'm doing well. And advertising is expensive. The quietly wealthy figured out one thing early. The audience you're paying to impress is mostly strangers, colleagues who aren't actually thinking about you, and relatives who will find a flaw anyway. When researchers studied actual millionaires, not film stars, ordinary people with 7 figure portfolios, the results embarrassed everyone. Most drove ordinary cars, lived in their first or second house, and wore nothing with a visible logo. India's version is everywhere once you start looking. The trader in plain cotton shirts who owns the whole building. The retired teacher with 2 crores in mutual funds and a 12-year-old Alto in the garage. Wealth that announces itself is usually still being paid for. Wealth that's real has nothing to prove. Thing 1 they stop buying: new cars on loans. Not cars, new cars, every 4 or 5 years, financed. A car's job is transport. The premium you pay for newness is the most expensive perfume in the world. It evaporates within the first year. The quietly rich drive the same well-maintained car for 8, 10, 12 years and let the difference compound. And when they do upgrade, they buy 3 years used in cash and let someone else pay for the depreciation. Thing 2, the flagship phone cycle. A 1.5 lakh phone on EMI, replaced every 2 years, does the same WhatsApp, the same UPI, the same calls as a 30,000 rupee phone kept for 4. Over a decade, that one habit is a few lakh and invested several more. The wealthy treat a phone the way they treat a pressure cooker, a tool you replace when it stops working, not a membership card you keep renewing to stay respectable. Thing 3, clothes that exist to be recognized. Fast fashion every season, logos that do the talking, the watch that costs 3 months of salary. The quietly wealthy buy fewer, better things with no name on them, and a 400 rupee kurta when a 400 rupee kurta does the job. Because here's the uncomfortable physics of status clothing: the people it impresses can't help your future, and the people who could help your future aren't impressed by it. Thing 4, and this one is hard to say in India: the showcase wedding. 25 lakh often borrowed for one weekend of photographs and the approval of 300 guests, half of whom mainly came for the food. The quietly wealthy celebrate fully, but they spend on the marriage, not on the audience. A wedding that costs a year of joint income, taken on loans, doesn't just start a family, it starts a 5-year family business of repayment. Thing 5, convenience as a lifestyle instead of a treat. Food delivery as the default dinner. Quick commerce for everything. Subscriptions stacked like little EMIs. 500 here, 700 there, billed silently forever. None of these is evil. The wealthy simply flip the default. Home is the routine, outside is the occasion. The same biryani tastes better when it's a celebration instead of a Tuesday habit, and it costs a fraction. Thing 6, more house than the life requires. The 3 BHK stretch when 2 rooms were enough. The premium tower chosen for the address. The EMI sized to the maximum the bank approved instead of the minimum the family needed. Housing is the biggest line on every budget, which makes it the biggest lever. The quietly wealthy buy less house than they can afford, and that gap invested for 20 years is often the entire difference between them and everyone else. And thing 7, the one that contains the other 6. They stopped buying the opinion of strangers. Every flex purchase is a transaction. Your money in exchange for a feeling that lasts a week and an image in someone else's head that lasts one scroll. The quietly wealthy still spend, sometimes heavily, on health, on skills, on their children's education, on experiences with people they love, on buying back their own time. Things that compound inward instead of impressing outward. So, why do your broke friends look so rich? Because looking rich has never been easier to rent. Credit cards, EMIs, buy now, pay later, the entire costume of wealth is now available on a monthly subscription. The iPhone on the table says success. The 4 credit cards underneath it say something else. We see the car, never the loan. The Instagram trip, never the personal loan that funded it. Social media made the costume cheaper and the audience bigger. And so the trap is deeper than it has ever been. Back to the man at the temple. I eventually asked him politely why he lives so simply when he clearly doesn't have to. He laughed and said the most quietly devastating thing I've ever heard about money. When I was poor, I dressed up so nobody would know. Now that I'm not, I dress down so nobody asks. Then he added, the flats pay me rent. The kurta charges me nothing. Why should I pay to be stared at? He wasn't hiding his wealth. He had simply stopped performing it. Here's the truth underneath all of it. Wealth is what you don't see. It's the SIP that ran silently for 15 years, the loan that was never taken, the upgrade that was skipped, the corpus nobody at the dinner table knows about. Spending leaves evidence everywhere. Wealth leaves almost none. So the next time you envy what you can see of someone's money, pause. You might be envying the exact spending that is keeping them poor. The 7 once more. New cars on loans, the flagship phone cycle, clothes with logos, the showcase wedding, convenience as a default, more house than you need, and the opinion of strangers. Stop buying those, automate the difference into investments, and 10 years from now, you'll look exactly as ordinary as you do today, with one invisible difference: you'll be free. If this changed how you see the rich looking people around you, Money Decoded has more. There's a video on the EMI trap that funds all these costumes, and one on the exact money checkpoints to hit by 30. Watch those next. No hype, no stock tips, just the boring math that actually works. This is education, not personal financial advice. See you in the next one.